Topic 3, Big John.
So mine is a little bit of a real moment, I guess you would say. I don't know, but mine is about kind of what Mrs. G talked about. I posted it. People who impacted you the most in your life, and how and why and what you've become because of those impacts in your life.
You gotta talk louder.
Oh, sorry. The impacts that people have made, like the people who have had the most impacts on your life, and what those stories may be, if you're willing to share them, and what they've done for you, how they've shaped you as a person, and made you into who you are today.
Okay. Did you want to start or no?
I can start if you want.
Okay.
So, I mean, obviously, one of them is my dad. That's one of the biggest ones. Like, just going about my life, I see the certain things that I do, and my mom and all my friends who knew my dad would say, "You look so much like him," or "You act so much like him," and I'm just being me as I grow up. So, my dad had a huge role in my life, mainly because he was there, and he really actively was in my life. I remember my dad always telling me, John, I don't care what you do. If you want to be a garbage man, and that's what you absolutely want to do, I'll stand behind you 100%. And that actually shaped who I am today and what I want to do, because I knew I had somebody in my corner, so I didn't have to fear what I wanted to do. Like, what I want to do is almost an impossible thing. Like, I want to be a youth pastor. It's not impossible, but where I am at in my life right now, it's a little far away. But I know that because I had my dad in my corner all my life, you want to be a pastor, I will do everything I can in my power to help you become that. That encouraged me to keep going and never give up on what I want, because I knew I had somebody in my corner pushing me to get me there and help me get there. If this is what you still want to do, right? Yeah, this is what I want to do, then let's go for it. It's like that dad that takes you to hockey practice or football practice or baseball, and it's like, and he was the type of dad that was like, listen, you started this, you're not gonna quit on me, so you're gonna end it, you're gonna finish the season, you're gonna go through the whole thing. And that was who my dad was to me. So that was one of the biggest impacts that he had on my life, was just pushing me to be a better person. That's one of many stories.
Okay. Did you want to list off all of yours, or we're gonna alternate?
We can alternate. Keep it fresh.
I feel like you haven't talked a lot in this podcast comparatively to us. So.
I haven't, because I'm just like letting you guys do it, and like I won't interrupt you guys, because I'm just like, no, I'll just wait till they're done, and then I'll just go back 5 topics
Sorry.
to bring up mine. No, it's fine. I don't really. It's all good. You guys are having a moment. Yeah, I think one of my biggest ones is also my dad, because I did learn a lot from him, but not directly, because growing up, no.
Yeah.
He drank a lot. We weren't close at all. Like, I was actually surprised one year that he was at my birthday party and he cooked for it. I was like, you're here. You're not doing something with the brothers? Okay, sure. That's cool. Thank you for making baked ziti. It's my favorite. But I watched him do a lot of things. He built a 6-foot bookshelf in our living room, and we had a tiny apartment at the time, so this was like a huge feat for him. And then I know how to take apart a vacuum, put it back together, because I can do all that shit. And I'm like, yes. Learned a lot from him just by watching him. And then finally, it was after Rain was born that we actually got closer. He did not talk to me for like 8 months, because he was still mad that I was pregnant. Probably 2 months after Rain was born, he's just like looking at her. I'm like, you want to hold her? He's like, no, she's too fragile. I'm like, okay. But we got talking more. We grew closer. And then when he would come over to fix things, he would show me. He'd be like, let's, watch me do this, and then you can do it. But he ended up teaching me so many different things from about maybe the 9 years that we were able to grow closer. And then, even now, I'm still using everything that he was able to teach me, so that's awesome. But yeah, he showed me how to make it on my own. He showed me also, way back when, I became a very heavy drinker because I was going through some issues, and he was actually able to make me see that. He's like, you're drinking how I used to. And I was like, I am. Well, and that actually made me stop. Because I was like, I don't want to be like you. Like back in the day, no. I don't want to be how you were.
Yeah.
I want to be better.
Yeah.
So, he was able to make me see that as well. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. Like, I still drink. Because it's fun. Have a nice little time. But not 5 drinks every day.
Yeah.
Like, that's not good.
No.
And I don't want to end up how he did.
Yeah.
To where I have to have a doctor tell me one more drink, I'm going to die. I
Yeah.
will die.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, I'm not going to do that. So he helped me in more ways than one. And, yeah, even to this day, still look up to him. Still learning. So, he didn't teach me how to fix a dryer, though. And that would come in really handy right about now. So, that was one thing I wasn't able to learn.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But you, Mr. Ponytail.
Well, I could cop out and say parents as well. And keep this train rolling, so I guess I will.
Yeah, it's only round 1.
Yeah. Fuck.
I gotta go around too.
Yeah, I mean, they're always supportive. They support in their own individual ways. Mom's always someone I've more regularly talked to. Not that Dad's not open to listen or whatever, or be vented to, but she's always been more, that's her wheelhouse, I guess you could say. But, they're both supportive. Dad will come in and, help with whatever's needed, whether it's school or car or live stream or whatever it is, and give his 2 cents or give feedback on how to do something better or how to maybe improve something or whatever it may be. Yeah, they both keep pushing. They don't give up. They don't stop. Like, I'll see, now that I'm older, I'll see like not the flaws, but the drops or the falls for them momentarily, like when they're down kind of thing. But like seeing them bounce back is important to me. And that means a lot more than they could know. Because it's not like I'm like, hey, that thing you did, But yeah, and then just their caringness. Mom taking care of, her father and stuff like that, and her mom when she was around and stuff like that, and Dad always being open to friends coming over and stuff like that, and making sure like he's communicating with them and building a relationship with them, whether it was, Big John, Little John, Billy, Kayla, whoever. It might have not been the biggest thing in the world, but like, it was nice to see him put that effort forward to come out of his shell and make that connection. And then like them taking interest in things that I'm interested in, whether it's the Marvel movies and watching them with Mom, or video games and sharing them with Dad, or this is the stupidest thing ever. Hey, we're sitting in front of a camera for people live on the internet and talking or playing games, and they're like, yeah, go for it. You know, like
Yeah.
most people would be like, what? So, I mean, I think that would just be the impact I feel from them and why they're important is just all the little different little facets that they contribute to and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, those little things are what actually mean the most.
Mhm.
You know, they impact you the most because you notice later on it's like you didn't have to do that,
Right.
but you did.
And I still love the fact that my mom thought you were the only person that did that. Only person in the world that streams. I'm just
If
like,
only.
I'm like, yeah.
So my next story are about 5 different men in the church. Sorry.
I'm just kidding.
I already knew I wasn't a big son,
Um,
man.
So these 5 particular men, they're really, I guess you would say, how would I put it? They're very well known in the church, and they're like leaders of a lot of things, and people look to them for advice. They look to them when they don't know what to do, and they were all my mentors. And one day, they said, we need when's your day off? When can one of them's like, when's your day off? Me and this one guy, his name was Andy, and the other guy's name was Bill, which I'll be talking about next after this one. They said, when's your day off? We want to have dinner with you. Okay, yeah, but this is my day off. Okay, are you sure? Yeah, it's my day off. I'll make sure that it's off. Okay, make sure that you have that off. And I thought it was kind of funny that they asked me to do that. So it's the middle of winter. It's February 13th. I believe it was my 21st. Yeah, I was just turned 21. And I'm sitting out on my porch, and this big giant black SUV pulls up in front of my house. And I have no idea who it is. And it rolls down the window, and it's one of my other friends. And he's my other mentor. His name is Dan. And he says, get in the car. I'm like, okay. So I get in the car, and I see that Dan is driving. My pastor, Pastor Glenn, who was very, very influential, especially like when my dad died, he was really there for my family. The night that he died, I called them up, and it was literally 1 o'clock in the morning when I called his house, and his wife answered, and she said, what's wrong? And I said, my dad's gone. Pastor Glenn was there within 10 minutes. So he's been a very important person in my life. Bill was there, sitting next to me, and then Andy was in the back, and then there was one other person. His name was Justin. Now Justin is a chief in the Navy, and he works in Connecticut. Now, if you've never met anybody in the military, it's really, really hard to get time off, and you have certain things called leave, which you can request for, but sometimes you don't get it. He requested specifically for leave to come and see me and have dinner with me this night. And I said, is that why you guys wanted me to make sure that this specific day I had off? They're like, yeah, because if he got this leave and you couldn't do it, we were going to be in big trouble. Because we wanted him here, and he wanted to be here. And I hadn't had a relationship with him for a long time, but he shaped and molded me to understand that that even as a young man, that I was a young man. I wasn't just a boy. And they took me out to dinner, and they started talking to me. It's like, when did you realize that you became a man? And they started asking everybody else. They told me to don't talk, just listen. So I listened, and they all told stories about the day that they believed that they became a man, and just stories about everything that happened. And as I'm watching Andy write all this in a book, in a notebook, and I'm sitting there like, okay, this is kind of cool. And we're eating, and then they take me to the forum where the egg is, and that's in the middle of Albany, where the Capitol buildings are. And that day they all looked at me and said, John, you're 21. We don't look at you like you're a teenager anymore. You're not a kid to us. You are a man. And and this is what this is. This is a man ceremony. This is us as men affirming you are a man in our eyes. So we are here to, kind of encourage you to man up and be a man and do what men do. We're not saying you're not doing that, but we want you to know that we respect you as a man. And I didn't really grasp it and understand it that day, but literally the next day when I woke up to get dressed to go to work, I looked at myself in the mirror and it was literally a light switch. I was like, wow, I'm a man now. Okay. And that literally changed my life because I was 21. What do you do when you turn 21? You drink. You have a party. You get drunk all the time. I was doing that. And when that happened, I started to grow, and I grew in a huge way to the point where I was like, all right, I'm done partying. And this was in the middle of, I just turned 21. Normally people drink their whole 21st birthday. Literally, the whole year. And everyone says, oh, jokingly, I don't remember my 21st birthday. I don't remember my 21st year. Because you're drinking so much, because you have the ability to. But literally the first month, I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. And I drink, but I don't get drunk ever. I don't like getting drunk. I don't do it anymore. I have, maybe a glass with Captain and Coke, and that's it. And I'm done. But that shaped my life to be like, all right, this is not fun and games anymore. I am a grown up now, and people who are grown ups, who I look up to, are telling me I'm a grown up. So I need to start acting like one, because to me that means there are young people who look up to me, and if I'm acting like a child, they won't know what it means to look like a grown up. So I need to change. I need to do something different. So because of that, I propelled myself into becoming an adult. Not fast, I grew up kind of fast, I had to. But because of that moment, I felt, what's the word? Wow, I'm blanking on the word. Confident in myself. When men who I looked up to said, yeah, you're a man. And that means a lot to a young man who especially doesn't have his father around. That these guys who I looked up to, who I considered like fathers to me, were to say, yeah, today you are a man. So.
Cool.
Somebody that even today still has a huge impact on my life. I go to her for everything. She knows everything about me. I'd be surprised if she didn't. And I know everything about her. My best friend, Isabel, we have been friends for 20 years. And we've just been through so much, and we've grown together. We grew up together. There wasn't a day when we wouldn't see each other when we were grown up. Sure, we had our fights, but even then, we still saw each other, and we're just like, I'm still mad at you. I'm still mad at you. Alright. And we wouldn't talk that much, but it lasted 5 hours. Maybe. The longest we didn't talk when we were kids, when we were fighting. I think it was about a day. And then the very next day, somebody was trying to be a bully to her. And I'm like, oh, fuck no. And I went out, grabbed the biggest stick I could, and I'm like, fuck off. But I didn't say fuck off because I was a kid. I was scared to swear, so I didn't say that. I'm like, leave my best friend alone. They saw the big ass stick. They left. I looked at her. I threw down the stick. I was like, I'm still mad at you. Walked in the house. Hour later, we were hanging out. But there's been times where she's come up to me and be like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, I honestly don't know anymore since you just asked that, because obviously I'm doing it wrong. you know? There's been times where I look at her and I'm like, what are you doing? That's not right. Stop that. Why? Because it's not you. But people change, you know? She's been there for me for everything. I've been there for her. When her dad left, came back, left again. She was there for me, you know, when my dad passed. You know, very next day she's coming over. We're talking about all the great stuff that we've done together and just so much stuff. She has just been there for everything, and I've been there for her for everything. And I just think like everybody needs that kind of person in their life. And I'm just so happy that I can say that I've known her for 20 years. You can't say that a lot about people.
Yeah.
So she's had a big impact on my life, and sometimes I just don't know where I'd be without her. So
Yeah.
she's very important to me. So yeah.
Okay. So I was thinking about the influence thing, and I'm gonna shout out 3 kind of rapid fire, because obviously these 3 have, you know, done things for me, but there's a 4th that I really want to dive into that popped in my head as you guys were talking through, and I think that will be my last one personally, because I don't know, it's the last I can think of, and we're coming up on 2 hours. But okay, rapid fire, Grandmaster Pay, and all the instructors for that matter at Taekwondo. Obviously, you know, 17 years doing Taekwondo, a lot of influence there on who I became, obviously my career path for a while, things like that. Kind of funny. It's an influence for the content we make. It's top of the mountain goal to work for, and an inspiration. Same with Maximilian Dude and Yo Video Games. Seeing the amount of success that he has and what he can do with his friends and stuff like that. It's another influence for content. So the one I want to actually deep dive into as the 4th, like I said, hearing what you guys had to said, or had said, this person popped in my head as setting me on a path that I never thought I would be on, is Little John. John Welch.
I knew it.
Super Twig 93. So, I'm sure I've said this story numerous times, but in case, you know, you haven't heard it, and you're tuning in for the first time on twitch.tv/Enigma911 live,
We're live.
this never would have been a thing, any of this, without him. Maybe 4.5 years ago, John wanted to start doing a YouTube channel. Playing games, doing stuff like that. He asked for help. Sure, I can do that. So I was helping him and being a supporting role in whatever chaos he wanted to do. We started with some simple videos of Mario Kart, Halo. There was another series too. But
Yeah, I remember watching that whole Mario Kart thing. That was funny.
Smash Bros, I think, was the other one. So we started with that. And we sat down, we spitball ideas, we figured out a name that we wanted, we figured out a game plan of when we were going to record, when we were going to release, who was editing what was doing this. We figured out LTS Gaming was our name. After numerous bullshit names. B&J Gaming was one, Midnight Gaming was one. Yeah, we just spit out BJ because we thought it was fun. And there was just a shit ton of them, and I still have the original notebook with all the notes from way back when on it. But then we had our friend Jones join in, and he wanted to do it too. I was like, alright, cool. Then John mentioned something called Twitch and how people do live streams. And I had no idea what this was. So I checked it out. I was into a game called Don't Starve at the time. So I looked up Don't Starve streams. I didn't pick the top person, but I picked someone who was higher up, had some views. Another shout out, I guess, could be a influence or just an inspiration, is Miss Snow White. I watched her for a while and she, clicked. And it was really cool. But without John saying, hey, let's do this YouTube channel, you should try Twitch, and then hearing their feedback after my first Twitch live stream, both him and Joan said, hey, I could see you doing this. Like, you did a really good job with it. And, I mean, I was playing Shining Force. We literally had them in the chat, maybe one other person. And hearing their feedback and their endorsement, I guess you could say, it's obviously caused a lot. Not that we're exploding or anything, but looking at stats right here, over the lifetime of these 4 years streaming, 9,200 views, 841 followers. We have 75 plus subscribers on YouTube. We have so many Instagram followers. We have so many Twitter followers. We have the podcast we do bi-weekly. We have vlogs that we do weekly. We have press start season. We have ideas for future shows like board games and other shit and other random series. We have Borderlands series. We have fucking VR random sidebar videos. We have all these other things, and like having the ability to pull in people from different aspects of my life and them being very supportive and doing things, whether it's being behind the camera like JC, being on camera like you guys and Billy, and other things, and people like spitballing ideas like Super Killer Bunny, Lady Killer Bunny, Pancake, like Charlie from California. Charlie was a big help out in California, helping me out, stuff like that. And then like obviously the OGs, Tyajan, Kiwi, Acario, all these people filling into this Dio as well. Like we didn't have to fucking Skype D&D for however many weeks at different time zones and things like that, but we did it. And like knowing that people have this faith in me just because one person set it off, like I think that's a big influence, because right now this is the path for me, if not one of the paths for me. Like I want to take this thing far. If it turns out to be the only thing that I need to do to be happy in life, then that's awesome. But obviously, if not, then it's still a hobby, and I'd like to push this thing as far as we go. But without him doing that first push and that first step, like none of this would have been where it is. And we wouldn't have a merch store, and we wouldn't be going to fucking San Francisco and doing live podcasts. We wouldn't be doing weekly vlogs. John wouldn't have given us that idea, and I love those ideas. I wouldn't be editing as much. I wouldn't be trying to learn how to animate more. I wouldn't learn how to do more graphics. I wouldn't learn all these things, and it's fucking insane. !
Thanks.
It's just crazy how one tiny thing could lead all this, and he might watch this down the road. John, I can't thank you enough. And I don't know if he knows how much I appreciate that, but it's, yeah. That would be mine. You guys got any more?
Yeah, I got one more. Okay. This is my last one. So that person that I said, Bill, so he has been a huge influential part of my life. When I was 19 years old, I came back from college. I had no idea what I wanted to do. My mom just had a kid, so I knew that I had to help out around the house, and I knew I had to help out by going and getting a job. Stuff that I didn't really know what to do because I never was taught. I didn't really understand what it meant to be a man, and how to be an adult. No one really taught me, and unfortunately my mom wasn't very good at it, so she couldn't really teach me. I know my mom loves me, and I love my mom to death. So one day, a lot of my stories have to do with church. So one day at church, one of the pastors was talking about asking people to be your mentors, and my mentor at the time was currently working on Sundays, so I didn't really get to see him very much, and so I basically started thinking to myself, well, then I need a new mentor. I need somebody who will step into my life, teach me how to be a man and how to, do life. So a man stepped into my life. His name is Bill. One day I just asked him, because we started talking, and a lot of the things that I was doing at that time related to him in a big way. And I asked him to be my mentor. He said yes. 19 to 26, what's that, 8 years? 7 years?
Say it again.
19 to 26?
7.
7 years later, I have my license because of this man. I have my car because of this man. At one point in my life, I was almost homeless. But this man said, listen, I have a lake house, has no running water, but you can stay there for free. And not only was I homeless, I was jobless. And it was the middle of December, or just the beginning of December, so it's like I have no way to even get a job because no one's hiring in December. Yeah, it's just how it is. It's the end of the year. They close the books for a reason. So that, you remember when I lived at that lake house?
It's a nice lake house.
It was a very nice lake house.
Yeah, I do remember that.
But that was one of the most darkest times of my entire life so far, other than my dad dying. I was there alone. I had a lot of time in my own head. I don't like being alone. I have to be around people. Otherwise I think too much. And I became very, very depressed. I gave myself a concussion, and it's really stupid. I tried to do a backflip at a trampoline park, and I just messed up, so I broke my sternum, gave myself a concussion, and one of the side effects is depression when you get it could be when you get a concussion. So I went into a really deep depression around that time, and everything I was doing wrong. One day when we were doing D&D, I had to go and I had to teach the middle schoolers their class for Sunday school. All I had to do was show up and put a CD in and let them watch a movie. That's all I had to do. But I overslept, and I didn't make it in time. And so basically I was like, I'm doing everything wrong except church. I got that down pat. I know what I'm doing. And that day when I realized that I was losing everything and I wasn't doing everything right, I started to have a nervous breakdown, and I didn't know what to do. So I sat there and I cried until Bill came and showed up. And he asked me what's wrong. And I just started talking to him, and I was just like, I'm a failure. He just looked at me like, no, you're not. Don't say that. Like, just stop. Like, no, you're not. You're going to get through this. You just have to start believing in yourself. And I'm here for you. I'm going to make sure that everything works out for you. And he left that day, and the question in my head started to wonder, but why? Why are you here for me? I can't offer you anything. You can offer me the world, but I can't offer you anything. And so certain things started going on. I still was going through my depression and trying to get over it. I didn't talk about it very much. It was really hard to, because I'm John Danke. I'm happy. I'm bubbly. I'm smiley. That's how most people know me. So when I got depressed, like, it was weird to me. So I didn't understand it. But I didn't really care about a lot of things. Like, I'll be honest, like, a lot of trash was around the place. I didn't wash my clothes very often because no running water, so I had to figure out how to do that. So I would do that as, I would try and get as many clothes as I could to go and do that. So I wasn't wasting, somebody's water. There was piles of dishes in the sink because no running water, and I would have to boil water to get hot water. So it was just time consuming, and at that time, I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to sit and escape my reality and play video games, which I did most of the time. And one day I come back from an interview when I started really thinking about I can get a job now. And the interview was terrible. Eventually, the guy who I was interviewing with basically just said, you know, you're gonna amount to nothing. You know, I don't even know why I had this interview, and rips up my resume and throws it away and says, "There's the door." So, with my pride crushed, I go home and it's like I sit down and it's just like, all right,
You're good. Keep going.
I go and I try to escape my reality again. I just start playing video games, but then I notice my stomach start to grumble, and I realize, oh crap, I haven't eaten in 3 days. And then I realize again, I don't have money for food, and there's no food in that refrigerator. So, oh boy, what am I gonna do? And I didn't want to ask anybody for help because I was embarrassed. So I did the one thing that I thought I knew, and I just walked over to the refrigerator. I was like, I don't think this is gonna work, but I'm gonna try anything. I really don't want to have to go to my mom and ask her for food because I know she can barely feed my sisters right now. So I put my hand on the refrigerator door and I just, I said a prayer to God. I was just like, God, let there be food in here. I don't even care if it's fish, and I hate fish. I'll eat it. And you know what? Even if there's not food in here, I'm still going to love you, and I'm still going to believe that you're real. But I just really need a win right now. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do if I don't get at least one win in my life right now. I am so in deep that I need your help. And I opened up my eyes and I opened up the refrigerator, and the entire refrigerator was full of food. And it wasn't just, food I wouldn't eat. It was food I actually ate normally on a regular basis. And I was so dumbfounded that there was food in there, and I was like, holy cow. God, how did you do that? And then I realized, okay, let's think logically here for a minute. And, I looked over to my left, and I looked at the sink, and the entire kitchen was clean, and all the dishes were put away, and they were clean. And then I looked at the living room, and the living room had no more garbage around it. Everything was picked up, and it was nice and clean. And then for some reason, I walked into my room that I was staying in, and there was a basket full of laundry, clean laundry that was already folded in a basket on my bed. And I just sat there and I was like, how did this all just happen in the course of 5 minutes? Did I just miss random fairies doing this? No. Okay, John, that's not real. There's no such thing as fairies. As a fairy dies, as I say that. And I open up the refrigerator and I look inside, and I see that the only person that recently I had told what my favorite soda was Bill, and I saw that it was in there. And I realized Bill did this for me. I never asked him to do it for me. I never expected him to do it for me. And heck, he never mentioned that he did it. And he never said anything about me being a dirty slob, or that, I need to take care of myself better, or that, come on, dude, like, what's wrong with you? Like, he never said those words. He never brought it up. And then, basically in this time where I didn't have a job, he was helping me pay my bills. So, I owed him a lot of money. We'll just use $5,000 as a sticker line. And just one day, I would go and eat dinner at his house every now and then. And I'm eating dinner at his house one day, and he's like, hey, I wanted to talk to you about something. That we both know that you owe me a little bit of money. I was like, yeah, I know, and I'm going to pay you every penny back. And in my head, I was unemployed, and I was like, I'm never going to reach that, but it's what I'm supposed to do. It's the right thing to do. It's my integrity speaking. I want to pay you back, so I'm going to do my best to try and pay you back. he looked at me. He's like, no. I just let me finish. And he said, my family was blessed recently with a substantial amount of money, and I just want to let you know that $5,000 you owe me, you no longer owe it to me. It's washed clean. And I froze and I didn't know what to do. I didn't understand why he was doing this. How someone who wasn't my father was treating me like a son and accepting me like a son. I had never felt that kind of love before. And, we argued back and forth for a couple minutes, like, I'm going to pay you back. He's like, no, you're not. And it basically got to the point where he looked at me, he's like, you cannot pay me back because it doesn't exist. Your debt is gone forever. You don't owe me any money. And so I left that day, and I was like, I don't understand why he's doing this. And something just said, you should ask him. Just ask him why. So I asked him the next day at church. I asked him why he was doing all this. And, I told him basically, I'm not your son, but you treat me like I am your son. And I don't deserve it. I'm just a nobody. And that's literally how I felt. I felt like I was a nobody. I felt like I was garbage, and I didn't deserve what he was giving me. And I never thought I could give anything back. So receiving is one of my hard things to get over, is when people give me blessings and love and stuff like that. So that was hard for me to get through that, because I've earned a lot of things that I've gone through. And he looked at me and he said, John, you're not a nobody. You're a somebody to God, so that makes you a somebody to me. And I don't just do things because the world tells me to, or because it's what society says I should do. I do things because I want to do them, and I see the value in you, and I see the potential in you, and quite honestly, I love you. And I had never heard that from another man other than my father. So it was very hard to take in. But in that moment, I accepted it. And, I basically looked at him and I told him, in these times that you've done all this, I look at you like you're my dad. I'm not trying to replace my dad, and I'm not trying to make you fill his shoes, but I see you like my dad, and to me, you're dad. It would be really awesome if you would be my dad in my life right now. And he said, not only did he say yes, he said it would be my honor. I haven't had that in a very, very long time. Somebody who was in my corner. Like when my dad died, it was 7 long years of not feeling like somebody was in my corner, but he had always been in my corner those 7 years. And now, because of him, he has shaped me into the man I am today, the loving and caring person that I am today. Without him, I wouldn't be where I am. All these accomplishments, like the saying, it may be hard right now, but turn around and look how far you've come. Every single thing that has happened in my life since I was 19 and I came back, he was involved. And he was helping orchestrate me to be a man. And he orchestrated that man ceremony. That's something, and I learned that that's something a father does for a son. So before I even told him I saw him as dad, he was preparing to be my dad in a huge way. So because of him, I sit in front of you, and I'm able to be the person I am and love people the way he loved me. So I owe him everything. And if he ever does see this, I could never pay back what he's done for me. And I loved him like a father, absolutely, and I would do anything for him. So he's had the biggest impact other than my own father in my life.
Right. Want to follow that up, Jack?
I love my mom.
No, seriously, you got anybody else you want to?
Just like I said, my mom, we've had our tiffs, but all in all, she's always been there, supporting me in her own special little way. When things get hard, she's like, "You'll make it. It gets better. Just wait." I'm like, I don't want to wait, but no, in her own special way, she's always kind of been there for me, supporting me. Yeah, that's about it. She's been a good mom. So yeah, good job, Mom. Moms are great.
Yes, they are.
After an emotional roller coaster of a podcast, what are we talking about? Podcast episode 26. Thank you to John and Kayla for joining me today. Remember, I am Enigma9011, aka Brett. You can watch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011. Oh boy, I was on a roll. You can watch it live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011 every first and third Saturday of the month, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless we're later, we put it on Discord. Then you can join us in the chat like Dio did today, along with Acario Beatbox. Thank you for the resub, by the way. Rainbow Kaleidoscope Grind, USA 232, and many, many more. Remember, if you can't catch it live, no big deal. You can catch it over on youtube.com. Search Enigma9011. It is broken out topic by topic, but also put up as one big video, so you can check that out if you'd like to. If you have any topics for us, remember, comment them down below or join us on Discord, and you can topic them over there. Comment the
Yeah.
shit. Comment the topics over there if you'd like to. Remember, follow, subscribe, all those things so you know when the videos go live and you can check them out. Remember, if you subscribe over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011 like Acario did today, you get the sweet-ass mood emote and you don't get any ads. Remember, we are also sponsored by the merch store, the Enigma9011 merch store. You can check that out on this link down below. Get your Enigma swag, t-shirts, tank tops, whatever you might like. You can check that out and support your boy. It's much appreciated. We will see you guys next time. Thank you for hanging out, and goodbye.
Bye.